Hi, in this video I'll be doing an unboxing and product review on the Godox LED170 Mark II. Now, I received my unit with these additional 8 alkaline batteries, even though it was not stated they came with the batteries, but this was a pleasant surprise. Right, in the box you'll get the LED light unit, there's a little instruction manual, a warranty card, and then there is an additional orange diffuser filter, and there is another one that is sitting inside here, and if you want to, you can slide that out, and I'll show you how to do that quickly. You take your fingers like this, and then you can see you slide it out. That is what the unit looks like without the diffuser. So there you go, there's the light, the one filter, and the orange filter. Right, just to show you the physical dimensions, the LED itself just under 17.5 centimeters, and the height that is going to stand off your camera is going to be just about 18 centimeters. Now it is fairly thick at 4 centimeters, and that's without the additional battery. Now if you're going to make use of the NPF type batteries, you can see that it slots in at the back here, and this happens to be the NPF 750. So this is not the fattest one, the 970 is the fatter one. But anyway, what happens is it slots in here. All you have to do is press it down and slide it in. There's nothing else that you need to do to take it out. You just press it like that to put it back in. You press it down and slide it in. So as you can see with the battery, it does become quite a bit fatter. So there you can see with the battery, the profile is much thicker. Now, if you're not going to make use of the NPF type battery, you can then use the AA battery option. There's a back cover here, and as you can see, it's got an unlock option. So you unlock and slide out. And there you can see this is where you put your AA batteries. There's space for 8 AA batteries. To put this back on, you just put it in place, press down and slide. Now on the back you can see there's your on-off switch. If you'd like to connect this to your mains power, there you can see you've got a DC jack accepting voltages from 6 volts all the way up to 12 volts. This is the light intensity dial, and as you can see, you can rotate. I will show you the light intensity shortly. Right, so that is the mass of the LED light. You've got 392 grams without the battery. If I add the NPF 970 battery, you can see that it increases significantly to 583 grams. And if you're going to use the AA batteries, there you go, there are 8 batteries. You can see the mass is quite similar at 603 grams. Just keeping in mind that the rechargeable batteries tend to weigh a bit more than the regular alkaline batteries. Now, something that I found quite interesting, if you look at the battery polarity, you can see that it is positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So you have to put these in one by one, making sure you get the polarity correct. So it's positive, negative on top, positive on top. Right, once you put the batteries in, you can see that when you switch it on, there is a little green LED there telling you that the LED light is on. Right, now don't worry about these wires for now. This LED here turns green when there is sufficient battery capacity or the voltage is high enough on these batteries. It'll be green. If the battery capacity has reduced and the voltage is dropping, then you'll see this LED light turns red. So I'll just demonstrate that for you. As you can see, I switch it on. You can see the light is switched on there and it's green. Now what I've done is I've shorted out 2 of the leads here, so that effectively drops the voltage, because this is measuring the voltage. So as you can see now, when I increase the brightness of the light, the unit picks up that the voltage is too low, because remember I've removed 2 batteries, so obviously the voltage has dropped, and it's telling me battery life is getting low now. So the LED turns red, giving you early warning that you are going to end up with the light going off soon because the batteries have dropped their voltage. So basically all I've done here is, instead of having 8 batteries and I have 1, 2, 3, I have 6 batteries. So obviously the voltage has dropped, and the unit then shows me that the voltage is low, and therefore it's telling me time to recharge the batteries. Now, if you're using the lithium battery, according to the manual, this red LED will actually start to flicker if the voltage drops below a certain amount. So you can know that if this is flickering red, then you know you need to recharge your lithium battery. Alright, so what I've done now is I've connected the LED170 to a DC power supply. There is my DC jack. I've set it to call it 12 volts, and I just want to see how this current usage is on this Godox LED170. Alright, so what I've done is I've set the brightness on the dial to maximum. You can see it's green there telling me that it accepts the power, and there you can see that at 12 volts, or 11.9, but let's just call it 12 volts, it wants 0.84 amps, so almost 900 milliamps to keep this LED powered at full brightness. Now, what you'll notice is if I reduce the dial, let's go to the minimum, you can see that at the minimum brightness, it's only requiring 170 milliamps, but that's at 12 volts. Now, this LED 170 says it can accept DC voltages from 6 volts to 12 volts. So let's reduce this, and I'm sure the current will increase. So if you only have an AC DC adapter or a DC power supply that's going to give you 6 volts, well, but if I increase the brightness, you can see there it wants 1.6, almost 1.7 amps to keep this LED at full brightness. Now, if I take this up to 12 volts, obviously the current's going to come down, and it wants 820 milliamps, so just under 900 milliamps. So you can see it's pretty hungry for energy. Obviously this has got 170 LEDs, and there you can see that it does require a significant current to keep this light at full brightness. Now, out of interest, you see there is that green LED. If I reduce the voltage and I reduce the current, so let's see if it tells me that there's insufficient supply. Right, so you can see that when I reduce the current supply on my DC power supply, look, it went red. So this LED here also tells you if your DC supply is insufficient. As you can see, it turned red. Now, out of interest, what happens if I connect my lithium battery to the Godox LED170 while the AC adapter or the DC plug is connected? Will it charge the battery? Just out of interest, we'll know that if the current increases. So I've now connected the lithium battery and nothing happened here, so I can already tell you that it's not charging the battery. It's probably looking at whichever voltage is higher. If I reduce the voltage of the DC coming in on this jack, you'll probably find that it'll start using the current from the battery. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. As you can see, I've now given it 2 volts. The light stayed on, it didn't go off. It still says green, so it's obviously taking the higher of the voltages. So if this drops below a certain voltage, it will take the AC adapter. The AC adapter gets below a certain voltage, it will go to the battery. All right, just having a look at the front, you'll notice that it's got these 2 adjustment points here, and as you can see how you can adjust this. And what you'll notice is it's graduated. As you can hear, there's specific points where it will rest. And there's quite a few options there, so you don't have to worry about not getting this in the correct orientation, because you've got lots of options to choose from. Now, what you will notice is this is pretty rugged, and what I mean by that is I don't feel like this will break pretty easily. Even though the unit is now quite heavy with the batteries inside, I noticed that this is pretty thick, and these knobs here, they feel solid. I don't feel like this is inferior at all. And you could also mount this on a camera stand. You can see there are the threads for your screw. Right, now the obvious feature of this Godox 170 are these flaps, and as you can see, the foil on the inside as I open these out. Now, something you will need to know is that the 2 left and right close first, and then the top and bottom close. If you don't do it like that, what will happen is you do that, and you can see that these ones do not close all the way. But even if you didn't do it right, you'll see you won't damage it by folding it incorrectly. So overall, I like this design. So even though I'm folding it incorrectly, you can actually see the plastic mouth there bending, but it's not going to break. As you can see, there's still a lot of free play there if I was being quite rough. Now, if you're wondering what that slit is for, I'm going to show you now. The slit is for the filters, which you slide in and out. And what you'll notice on the filter is a little lip on the edge. So that's telling me that that is the outermost point, and there as well on the clear filter. So what that means is if you put the filter in the wrong way around, you can see that it won't go all the way in. If you have a look on the edge there, it's not going in. You can see that some is sticking up. Right, so I'll turn the light on now. Right, so that's with the orange filter, but obviously my camera is adapting to the light, so I'd rather show you the light on the wall. Right, now what I've done is I've switched off the light in my lab here, and now all I'll have is the light of the Godox 170 Mark II. So the LED light is now on. It's using the orange filter, and you can see that I can reduce the intensity of the light. That would be the minimum over there. So that's the minimum. And there you can see I just used a lux meter on my phone. Obviously it's not highly accurate, but at least you can get an idea. And I'm now facing the Godox directly onto the phone, and then I'm increasing the power, and now the Godox is at full power. You can see there the phone is now reading over 2000 lumens. Now I'm just measuring the distance of the light to the phone, and it is just 65 centimeters away. So it is quite close. As you can see, the phone lux meter is telling me it's over 2000 lumens. Keep in mind that the sensor on the phone is very directional. So if I change the angle slightly of the Godox, you can see how sensitive that is in terms of the sensor on the phone. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down the lumens on the LED light. And there you can see I'm using the dial. And you can see the minimum 388 lumens. And if I change the filter, remove the orange one. Right, so now I've taken the filter off, and as you can see, the color temperature has changed, and now this is brighter. You can see 492, and if I increase the lumens, look at that. So you're getting at least another 400 to 500 lumens if you have the filter off, especially that orange filter. And I'm going to put the clear filter on now just to compare. And as I suspected, with the filter on, it diffuses the light somewhat, and there you can see that's about 200 to 300 lumens less with the diffuser on. Now, to give you an idea of the 2400 lumens, now on my desk, which is very well lit, I get less than that. So this light is bright enough. You can put your ISO on your camera at the minimum, which I'm now going to do. So what I've done now is I've now set the ISO on my camera, my video camera, to 160. So even though I set the ISO to 160 and put the camera in a manual mode, it didn't get much darker. Right, so just to compare, that is when the Godox light is off, but my studio lights in my lab here are on. So these are not the brightest studio lights, but they're bright enough for me to do high resolution videos. So there you can see 1600 lumens. And if I put the phone flat, because some of the lights are above it, there you can see I'm getting my 2000 lumens, and that's what I would normally video at. All right, so I'm outdoors now. It is in the night. I'm about to switch off the light, but I just wanted to show you the area with the lights on so you know what it was like. Right, now I'm going to get a subject to stand there. I'm going to tell you the distance, and then I'm going to set the Godox with the different filters and the different intensity so you can get an idea of what it looks like. Right, so this is in the night, and I'm now going to switch the Godox 170 on. Right, so this is the minimum light intensity. So I've set the Godox to the minimum, and there is no filter applied. The distance from the camera to the subject is 5 meters. I'm now going to increase the intensity. Right, so that is at maximum intensity. In fact, it's overexposing, so I'm going to adjust it on my camera. Right, so this is unfiltered at maximum intensity at 5 meters. And I've just put my phone there just to give you an idea of the lumens. Okay, now I'm going to use the filter. Right, so that's the orange filter with the LED light at maximum. I'm now going to get a bit closer to the subject. I'm going to get to 2.5 meters. Right, so there you go. That is at 2.5 meters at maximum brightness. And there it is, toned down a little bit. The lighting has been toned down. And now I'll put the other filter on. There's with the frosted filter, and as you can see, this is at 2.5 meters at half the brightness, and that is maximum brightness at 2.5 meters. Right, now out of interest, this is a 20 watt LED floodlight, which is more on the warm white side, and as you can see how bright it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the floodlight off and go to the Godox LED170, and let's compare the difference from the floodlight to the Godox 170. Right, so there you can see the Godox 170, and there's the floodlight and the Godox, and there's just the floodlight and just the Godox 170. Right, so to sum up, overall this is a quality product. The materials are good. Comes with a frosted filter and then the orange filter. My favorite thing about this light is this. If you're someone who works very close to your camera, for example, your head would be here, the light is shining onto something on the desk, maybe you're demonstrating something For example, here's a meter and maybe I'm showing the camera this and the light is shining onto the meter. If your face is about here, the glare is quite strong, and these foil reflectors help reduce the LED light, moving it away from your face, or actually blocking it from your face, which is very useful. I like the fact that you've got 3 power options and it's variable, 6 volts to 12 volts. You're not forced to use just a 12 volt supply. Something I didn't mention is the brightness increments in steps. It is not a continuous change. It goes brighter, 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 brighter in steps. What I don't like about this is how thick it is. As you saw when I was doing the test, there was a lot of shake. This on the camera adds quite a lot of weight. If you put this on a camera stand, it would be perfect. But if you are going to be putting this on your camera, you don't have to worry about it not being bright enough. There's no doubt that this is bright enough. So if you're doing a lot of close-up work, you might not even need the 170. I think they've got a 120. That would probably be bright enough. And then don't forget, I did compare it to this LED floodlight, which works off the mains voltage, and this is a 20 watt floodlight, and it wasn't as bright as the Godox, and the Godox rates itself at less than 10 watts. So if you call this 10 watts and this is supposed to be 20 watts, you can see that this is way more efficient in terms of the lumens. Right, thanks for watching. Cheers.